I'm going to attempt to cut out the pallet nib retainers this morning. This will be hopefully a fairly short video. To start with, I chucked up a piece of bearing bronze in the lathe, and I parted off 2 pieces of material that are about 50 thousandths of an inch thick. I took them over to the surface plate and made sure that they were dead flat on one side, and with a little bit of emery. Then I took those 2 little pieces, very tiny small pieces, over to the mill, and I set them up using the method that I normally use with the painter's tape and super glue to attach them to the sacrificial plate on the TIG micro mill. So that's where I'm at. So let's switch over to the mill now and see where we're at. The 2 small pieces have been mounted to the mill. Again, they're 3/4 of an inch in diameter, and they're about 50 thousandths of an inch thick. So we're going to attempt to cut 2 pallet nib retainers out of these. There are two items that we need to make. They're both 3/16 of an inch by 3/8 of an inch, with each one with 2 clearance holes for a number 1 72 machine screw. Very teeny tiny little machine screw. So we're going to use a 1/16 of an inch end mill. We're going to try to cut these out, two different cuts, and then so what we're going to do, we're going to attempt to cut the holes first, then we're going to cut out the perimeter. The little 3/4 inch pieces are large enough that I can just eyeball the end mill in the center of them. That'll be the starting point for both cuts. So let's get started. I'm going to set up a cutter in the mill and get it zeroed in and get the CAM-BAM file loaded, and we're going to attempt to make this cut. Okay, we're running the first one. These little nibs, these little retainers are going to take a very short time. Even at the slow speed I'm running, they're going to take a very short time. But I think CNC is the way to go on these. Much easier to do it than by hand. Those little holes are for a number 1 72 pitch thread. And they're very small little tiny screws that hold these things. What I'm going to do once this one's finished, and I'm guessing it's going to take just I don't know. It's been running 1 minute and 1.5 minutes right now, and it's not almost done. So I'm hoping that the tape holds in the super glue. If it doesn't, I guess it's a lost cause. But pretty small little piece. I'm not using any tabs on it, and we're down. We're almost there. What I'll do is I'll reset up and we'll do the other one. So it's been a little over 2 minutes, and we're into the tape, and it held. So we're in good shape. These little bronze tabs should work really good. Okay, let me set up and we'll get going on the next one. Beautiful. Okay, we started on the other side. I just eyeballed the center there. You got plenty of room on these little 3/4 inch pieces. They're not much bigger than a US 10-cent piece. Really tiny little thing. We've been running 45 seconds. I might add that I'll put a little piece at the end of this video on the Crutch Assembly. I got some work done on that over the weekend. We are making progress. There's lots of parts to it. It looks simple, but there's a lot of work to do. I have some things to silver solder onto it, and I'm a little bit concerned about my welding equipment's a little bit heavy. I ordered a 3/0 nozzle, so we'll see if that works. I'm not sure if that's going to do it or not, but we'll make an attempt at it. Exactly 2 minutes into this. There we go. So what I'll do now is we'll move over to my workbench and take a look at the crutch. And in the meantime, I'll pop these two little things off my mill and see how they turned out. But they look fine from here. Okay, we're back over at the workbench. Hopefully you can see this. So far, let me zoom out just a little bit here. So far, I've got part of the work done on this Crutch Assembly. Hey, can't figure out where the camera's at there. So this is the pallet arms right here, and I'll slide those off the arbor. This is the pallet arms that we made, and these are the little tiny pieces that we just finished that hold the pallet nibs in place. And there's some teeny tiny screws that attach these to the pallet arm. So I'm going to try to raise this up. You can see it. So those are the little pieces. They're very teeny. And these are what they came out of. They're 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So that worked out really well. we got two perfect little retainers, and so I'll set these back down on here. And the this is the pallet, I mean the crutch assembly. Okay, and if you remember, we oh boy, if you remember, we slotted this piece, which enables this thing to move back and forth on here. Okay, there's two screws that are number 2 screws that hold this together. At the other end, if you'll remember, we just cut a diameter down there, a radius, and we put one hole in the center, which was a clearance hole, and we put a number 440 screw in there to hold this portion on. These two little pieces of silver steel are pressed into this 1/8" thick round piece here, and the pendulum swings between these two pieces here. This is the crutch. So anyway, a little hard to show in the camera, I guess, but hopefully you can see that. So that's where we're at on this assembly. Eventually, after we get the silver soldering work done, and which we have 3 pieces to silver solder onto here, one on each side of this member, and one at the top of the crutch arm, and then there's 2 adjustment screws that go into either side. So that's where we're at. There's a lot of parts of this thing, so it's going to take a while to finish up, but these little nib retainers were the next step. And as you remember from before, I don't know where I did with it now. Somewhere here. Got all this stuff in plastic bags. If you remember that we cut out the nibs last time, and that worked out good. I haven't done any more work on them. They need to be polished and cleaned up, but we'll get to that pretty soon. And there's also, I might mention that there's still a lot of work. You know, actually the mill does a pretty nice job, but we'll clean this up a little bit more in the end. We'll polish the edges where the mill cut, and we'll get it all polished up. We'll polish up this arm and deburr some of these edges and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm going to call an end to this video, and hopefully you got something out of it. It was a simple little video just making these little retainers and kind of an update to where we're at on the crutch arm. So with that, I'll call off now, and we'll get this posted, and we'll move on to the next step. Not sure what that's going to be. I think the silver soldering will probably be the next thing, and to get these 2 adjustment little screws that go on either side of the of this made, which is a pretty simple little job on the lathe. We probably won't make a video with that. Anyway, that's where we're at, so I'll call off now, and thanks for watching.